Hey, Hot Sauce is coming at you right here. Hope everybody's doing well today. I did a video yesterday that gave you some math that was hypothetical. It was round numbers to help you understand what supply and demand, supply shock could do to the price of XRP. Today I'm going to give you the real numbers because I started thinking about it. I didn't want to confuse anybody because I was, once we did some math, it said, okay, equals 50 cents. But guess what? We had to start with $1.40. I just checked. XRP was about $1.37, but it was $1.40. We're gonna use $1.40 for the example I'm gonna give you today. Now, there's a claim circulating around that Ripple can't control more than 20% of XRP underneath the Clarity Act in terms of to qualify under certain regulatory definitions of digital commodity. Okay, let's break this down properly with the real numbers here. This is going to be exciting, I'm telling you. How much XRP does Ripple actually control? That's the other piece I want to share with you. What do they actually hold? What are they sitting on? Okay, and what does the 20% rule actually say? What would a real supply shock do to the actual price using today's numbers? Okay. I showed you where on congress.gov where the actual bill lives on my video yesterday. I put the link in the description there. So in the Clarity Act, there's language tied to what's called a mature blockchain system. No issuer or affiliated person may beneficially own 20% or more of total supply. Keep in mind it says 20% or more. 20% does not qualify. It's got to be under 20. They put wording in there like that. Pay attention, people. No single actor, person may direct 20% plus of voting power either. The voting power clause is in there as well. This is nice because when we're talking about changing something on a blockchain, I like it. Because if the company owns more than 20%, it becomes easier and easier to move things without the retail investors' vote. That's not how security works. When a company goes public and they do votes, if you own that stock, you have a vote. So it really does spread out and kind of dilute who has full control with some of these decisions made underneath the company. So it's tied to the beneficiary's ownership. That's where this gets, there's some nuance in here. Okay, that's what I'm sharing with you today. Check this out. So beneficial ownership isn't just what holds tokens in a wallet. That's what I was looking for. This includes things like, indirect ownership, direct ownership, affiliates, entities you can influence. If you can still control it in any way whatsoever, regulators may still consider it yours. So that's where you can't get. I said yesterday, you can't fool the government. Don't try to sit here. I hope Ripple doesn't think they're tricky and can fool these regulatory agencies. It doesn't work. So when we're talking about blind trust and restructuring, this is critical. How much XRP does Ripple actually own, everyone? Anybody interested in that? This is the part I missed yesterday. I didn't give a clear definition of what XRP actually owns. Total XRP supply is fixed at 100 billion tokens. So in 2017, Ripple placed 55 billion XRP into escrow contracts on the ledger. That happened in 2017. Some of you may know that. Now, the way that Ripple controls this escrow account, they release up to 1 billion tokens per month. Not all of them get sold on the open market. So when they release each month, the unused portion that doesn't get bought up goes back into escrow and relocks. It's designed for predictability. Okay, they don't want to mess with too much supply flooding the market. So the recent on-chain estimates say that roughly 39 billion XRP remained locked in escrow. Then, when analysis included escrow plus Ripple's linked operational wallets, because they have a bunch of wallets, I wonder if they think they were being sneaky or something. Estimates suggest Ripple controls somewhere between 42% and 46% of the total XRP supply. Yesterday, I was using an estimate about 35%. So this is a lot higher. Okay, and this is on-chain data, people. Most of that is time locked in the escrow accounts. Okay, so it's not tradable. So there's a lot to be said about that. Depending on how beneficial ownership is defined in these final stages of the Senate language that we were looking at yesterday, that's what they're doing. They're meeting at the White House trying to pencil in and word this properly. Trust me, Armstrong and Garlinghouse and our crypto homies are they've got their attorneys on board. They're drafting this very carefully. Escrow could still count towards the 20% threshold. That's a main piece of the information I want to share with you today. It's key legislative hinges that we're talking about here. Serious stuff. Now, let's do some real numbers. This will be a supply shock modeling using today's price instead of the round numbers I was using yesterday. Okay, I really wanted to do this. Okay, let's model this thing. Something people are speculating about. XRP is trading at about $1.40. I think it opened at $1.40, and what it just checked, it's right around 136 to 140 today. $1.40. So let's assume, here's some math, everybody. Here's some math. I'll put it up on the screen. Let's assume the total supply is 100 billion. That's what it started with. The price is $1.40. Now, for the market cap, you take $1.40 times 100 billion equals $140 billion. Now that bumps the price approximately 18% by doing nothing. Okay, with zero money entering the market. Before this Clarity Act gets solved, this has to happen. Ripple has to dilute their holdings by under 20% transparently. This is crazy. This is crazy. They're being forced to give away billions of dollars. Now remember, this isn't exact math. This is kind of a non-linear example, but I wanted to show you. So scenario B. Okay, so if the supply drops, I got ahead of myself here, plus the market cap expands, let's assume the market cap raises, money comes into to 200 billion. The market cap currently is 83.4 billion. Okay? Keep that number in mind. Let's assume that money comes in, we get up to 200 billion. That's more than doubling, which could happen if this Clarity Act forces Ripple to reduce supply. So there's supply shock already. Trust me. Hey, people, get ready. The retail investors have to get ready. If this passes, we want to be on the front end, because once it comes out in the news, it's a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Ever heard of that before? Get back on track here. Let's assume 200 billion divided by 85 billion equals $2.35. So from $1.40, what we're trading today, to $2.35, it's a 68% increase. That's pretty good. Joking? Scenario C, structural repricing. Okay, if the market cap hits this 280 billion, let's take that 280 billion divided by 85 billion equals $3.29. That's more than a 2x from the current levels. I'll take 2x any day, any day. This is when that supply shock meets demand expansion. Now, look at this reality check right here. There's no evidence. It's not been said at all. We don't know what they're talking about in these meetings. It has not come out. The press isn't invited. We don't know that Ripple intends to burn 15% of their supply. 15%-ish. We don't know any of this. It's purely modeling the supply examples that I'm giving you here today. So the real variable isn't burning tokens, it's how the Senate defines beneficial ownership. Look, if I was Ripple, of course you're going to try to keep as much potential revenue as you can. That's how business works, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry to tell you that. Would you want to give up if you have, you got to pay your mortgage or rent, or you got bills to pay and all this, and then all of a sudden you're kind of forced to just drain your bank account? It's kind of crazy. So, Ripple is estimated to control 42 to 46% of all total XRP supply, mostly in escrow. So the 20% rule is real legislative language right here. Okay, but how escrow and the affiliates are defined will determine whether this becomes structurally important. So let's watch for these definitions, people. Okay, that's where the story lives on how they're defining these things. We got to really pay close attention to this. Please comment if you guys are able to do some research and find anything on the web that talks about how they're defining this custody discussion. Please let me know. I'm going to be doing the same thing here on this end, and so in conclusion, overnight, take a look at some of this math, and it's basic, because when the supply shortens or shrinks, there's going to be that by default the percentage increase is going to happen. That's when, okay, so from there, when things get approved, institutions will apply for the ETFs, all of the exchanges, Fidelity, Schwab, we got maybe even Warren Buffett's old company. I mean, they might even apply. Well, they were so against crypto at first, it's almost funny, but those guys are awesome. It's unbelievable. Best to me, Warren Buffett is the best in our lifetime. He's the best investor of all time. So when these things happen, it's going to be crazy. We will go to all-time highs. That's my prediction. We're going to get up to that $3.66 and then go into price discovery from there. And trust me, the big boy, smartest investors of our generation will be using their trading instruments to create products for retail investors that can buy in regular stock trading accounts. That's where the money lives, people. I'm telling you. Not in our self-custody wallet. We'll still have our self-custody. So, a lot of things going on. A lot of stuff in my head. I want to try to get out here. I'm going to continue looking at these stories. So, I'm going to continue on this. Like I said, if you find something out, let me know. Put it in the comments there. And if you would, give me that thumbs up. Give me the subscribe. we're going to keep on charging. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Going into the weekend, think about doing something that's going to make you feel better. Get a little exercise, get that heart rate up, and we'll go from there. Hops off signing off. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for checking in. All right. Have a good one.